Have you ever prayed before and actually received a physical gift from the universe or spirit, whoever you like to call it? Well, that happened to me. And today I'm going to tell the story about a really special stick. I believe it's a talking stick from the way I can tell what it is and knowing myself. I'm going to tell you a story about how I got this stick and why it's so important and why I'm making a video about it, because it just fascinates me. I love being reinforced that I am special and that I am part of something much greater, especially after praying. And they say that prayer holds so much power because we are not just our physical bodies, we're so much more, right? This is a beautiful age of Aquarius. We are living in a time of great changes. Of course, there's always change happening, but it's more of like the ancient wisdom is really getting in the hands of the right people now. The what we call magic is really not the word magic. It's actually just working with the elements and working with the energy of our ancestors and that kind of thing. The word magic has kind of been mixed around so much throughout the occult and throughout the last few hundred years. We see that a lot of the occultists and people that were in power that used this word, they used it in such a way that it distorted it for the rest of the people who really are magical, so to say, who really do feel like they're divine, who really do have experiences and get answers to prayers, who really are connected. They've taken that and they've taught us to say we shouldn't use magic, we shouldn't connect to the elements, we shouldn't, there's so many different things that has distorted the way we view that word. And so I just want to remind you that words were, especially American English, have been changed around and distorted so that way we actually reject a lot of them. And the word magic itself is kind of like, I used to use it so much. I used to love it. I used to be like, I'm magical this and magic. And I loved it because I knew I was divine. I knew I had this. But then when I give it the word magic, I limit it because that's just what they have created, like Magic Castle, magic stuff on Disney. Like it's all counterfeit. Not counterfeit, but like it has taken our, they've taken our magic and they sold it back to us in little increments, right? And I guess what I'm trying to say is that in the short story, instead of dragging it out, is that those words have been mixed up and have multiple meanings. And so we'll find a lot of people who are religious and, doing videos now and talking about how that word is actually bad. But it's bad when it's used as black magic. And black magic is basically using the elements, using the earth, using your spirituality, your abilities to manifest using the word, the spoken word, using actual material objects to create for the self. That's what is known as the left-hand path on the tree of life. It's known as like creating more material wealth, which is not a bad thing, but using a lot of material wealth creates in the service to self, it creates a lot of shadow if you don't find the gratitude, if you don't try to connect to the rest of the world and try to use that for the greater good. So I know I got a little off topic, which I tend to do often, but what I'm trying to get you to understand is that the word magic is not a bad thing, but it's not such a good thing either. But the way that you would describe magic is real. What it does is real. Words are just words, okay? So the story is about this stick. And this stick is about the size of my forearm and fingertips. As a matter of fact, it actually fits perfectly right here, okay? On the stick, it has written words, which I will read in just a little while, okay? So I am in my room, and as normal, I got a nudge to look up something I was really interested in the tribes I was interested in the number 144,000. And might I add you, I haven't fully read the Bible completely, so these are things that have came to me in different ways that have caused me to have an insight to look and read and look into something. And so as I'm into numbers as well, I was really understanding the number 12 and how I thought, like I made the correlation myself before I read anywhere that I thought the 12 tribes of Israel were related to the 12 zodiac signs and were also related to the 12 months, and I also thought it was related to the 12 disciples. I think it's the 12 disciples, the zodiac tribes, the tribes of Israel. Anyway, there was this theme of 12 that I kept coming across. And of course, there's always a theme in almost every number pattern you can look at. You're going to find a theme, but it corresponds to certain things. Like the 12 is known to be the 12, doing the math, it comes out to 144,000 of each 12, the tribes. So there's also 2 other tribes that are not really mentioned, but these 12 are important for our time zone. So what I mean by time zone is it's important for us to understand right now, because it is the moon cycle, not the moon cycles, but it is the pattern of I'm losing my thought, but like what I'm trying to say is they're all connected because of the time zone that we're in now. So the 12 zodiac signs is what we've been given to believe about ourselves, about our birthday. So going back to the moment where I'm in my room, and this is one of the days that I probably prayed the hardest of my life and the most clear that I think I prayed. And I have been having a lot of different experiences, but this one was amazing. So I sat down and, I did my research, did some reading, and I started learning about 144,000. And I asked, how do you know if you're a member of the 144,000? Because I already know and feel that I'm one of the volunteers that have come down here to do certain things, and that I knew that I would reunite with my tribe in different areas and different times throughout my life, and different experiences would happen so dramatically that would burst me open in order for me to expand in such a way and do the work that I need to do here. The work that I've been doing or been wanting to get done for such a long time has been very hard, because being a wisdom keeper, being a light worker is not really work that you completely are making a lot of money on. We actually tend to be people that do the work and have a hard time charging for it, because we are natural healers. This is talking for myself. And so I always knew that I came here with a certain purpose. And looking at the patterns of my behavior growing up, looking at my family life, and looking at certain things, I learned that the more I would own and take responsibility for my actions and the things that I was doing, and give my parents a break, even though they did a lot of things that weren't that great, they also were wonderful, And what I'm saying is that they gave me experiences that caused me to wake up. I got experiences from my brother being sick. I got experiences from being separated from my mother. I got experiences from so many different things, all the heartbreaks that I've had. And so I knew that there were parts of me that were in the dark. And so I just kept doing work and this healing process of wanting to know more. And so I found resources and certain books that came to me at different times talking about the volunteers, the indigos, the brays, the star seeds. There's so many different manifestations of these archetypes of energy. So I would consider my archetype to be a nature child, a wounded healer, So also Mother Nature, goddess archetype, the child archetype, the wise woman, the healer, the doctor, the witch doctor, things like that. And I believe in other lives I've actually practiced these arts, and I have, or the priestess, things like that. And so they didn't always come to me fully to understand until I just kept researching it. And so here I come, fast forward back to my room, where I start researching and asking if I was part of the 144,000. And I never was biblical, really, or I did study world religions in college, and I did read a lot about them. And, I'm part Jewish, part Christian, part German, part Irish, and French, and Russian, all these different things that I started doing ancestry research as well. And so I asked if I was part of the 144,000, and it said that if you believe that you are, then chances are that you probably are. But then we have all the Jews that think they're the 144,000. We have the Jehovah's Witnesses who think they're the 144,000. We have the Christians. Everyone thinks that they are the 144,000. And I think that's beautiful, because I believe that there's any God or any creator, they would love for all of us to be racing to be the chosen ones with the ceiling in their forehead. And so I would say that I thought that that could be possible, you know, like, because I'm not really biblical, I don't read the Bible that much, you know, but so I decided, it said that if you think you're part of this number, to pray and ask for a sign. And I've been given signs before for praying, but never in my remembrance did I receive a physical object. So I then, you know, I decided to, you know, put the books aside, and so I sat there and I got into meditation, and I closed my eyes and I took a deep breath, and I did a couple like I got myself really, really centered, and I felt so connected, and I genuinely and wholeheartedly asked, you know, if I'm part of the 144,000, please let me know. Let me know. I'm onto something here. I mean, I've received books that just pop out of the shelf that someone give me or I find on the floor that have the same exact things in them that are telling me it's just a little piece of a puzzle. It's like I'm playing a game here. Just wake up. Like the universe is like begging me to remember who I am. And I was so blocked because I believe that I needed more blockage, because if I would come here knowing exactly who and what I am, then I would probably, who knows what I would do. Like if I wasn't awakened, I could have caused a mess everywhere worse than I've done, you know? And I just, you know, continued to pray. And so I went to sleep, and in the morning it started off right away. I woke up at 7:44 a.m. My alarm was actually set for 8 o'clock, and I woke up early at 44. And I kind of like giggled a little bit. I was like, okay, this is cool. Okay, maybe that's the sign, you know? And then so I get ready for work. I get ready for an appointment that I had. And my appointment was, I believe, at 10:30. So I got up, you know, had my coffee, got ready for the day, and I left, and then so I got to the doctor's, went to the doctor's, and then while I was at the doctor, I got a message from one of my clients, as I was working at A1 Film Crew at the time, as a booking agent. So I got to work from anywhere, and so I got a call, or a text from, or an email, from this woman who had a check for us, and usually they mail the checks. I worked there for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and we were never asked to physically pick up a check from anywhere. This is the first time I actually picked up a check from somewhere. And so she said, she sent me the address, and I just happened to be in the area. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll pick up the check, no problem. And so, you know, I left the office, and by the time I got there, it was actually 11:44. Okay, so it was it was 12:44. Excuse me. So it was 12:44 when I got there. I pulled up, and it was 12:43. By the time I got out of the car, it was 44. And it makes me feel so good. Like I love it. I love when that happens. So, so I get out of the car, and then I walk. I let her know that I'm there, and I let her know that I'm there. And might I add you? I can't remember at what point did I realize that the address of the location was 1440. Okay, 1440. And this makes me want to cry, because it's just for the universe to just give you what you ask for like that. You know, when you're so pure, when it comes from a pure source. A desire to know. I mean, you can get, using black magic, you can get whatever you want. But when the world provides it for you because of your genuine curiosity or your genuine knowingness or wanting to know of who you are and your divinity, it's amazing what can be given to you. You get signs from birds, you get signs from so many things. Anyway, so I got out of the car and let her know that I was there. And I put the phone down. And typically, when I park, like I turn my car off and like I take my phone with me. And I don't know why, but I just parked the car in the front. She said she'd be right down, so I left it on, and I left my phone there, and I got out, and I waited right at the door. The funny thing is, I skipped a part. Right before I pulled up, I'm driving up to the door, and as I'm driving up, this African-American man, older man, walks up to my car and goes to open my door, and he goes, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were my Uber." And I was like, "Oh, no problem, it's okay, it happens all the time, I guess." And I pulled up, and I got out of the car, left my phone, I walked out, and I went to open the front door, and it was locked. And I was like, "Oh, okay, so I guess I'll just wait here for a minute." I waited there for a second, and, I looked around, and it's still 3 to 5 minutes at least before I decided to, walk back to my car. And so I'm about to walk back around to go to my car to check my phone, and I look down, and then there's this stick on the floor. And literally, when I saw it on the floor, I literally, I was like, "What is that?" I didn't really put it together with my prayer yet completely. It was just sitting there right on the grass by the door. And I picked it up, and I was like, what in the world? And I read it. I was reading the words, or looking at the words, and then I asked the guy, I was like, "Excuse me, sir," I was like, "Do you know who left this stick? Do you know who left this stick?" And he said, "No, I don't. What is it?" And then I took it up, and I showed him, and we looked at it together, and he goes, "Wow, the words on it, And I was like, "This is insane, oh King Savage." And I was just like, so I was like, "Well, all right, well, take care, have a good day." And I walked away. I was like, "I think it's for me," is what I said. I was like, "I think this stick's for me." And he goes, "If you think it is, it probably is." And he just had this childlike nature to him. He wasn't like anybody I've met before. He was just very there for a reason, And so as I was walking in my car, he's like, "Well, my Uber's here, I gotta go." And for some reason, I look up, and he gets in the car, and I look up, and I see that it wasn't an Uber, it was a Lyft. It was a Lyft. And twice he called it an Uber, okay? He called it an Uber twice. And so when I looked at the Uber, and I looked back at him, I thought, this thing looks like wings. And I look at him, and he goes, it wasn't like a flirty wink, it was God in the car, winking at me, have fun on your mission, And so I just, I smiled, and I waved, and I got back in the car, and I saw that she said, "I'm waiting at the back for you." And I was like, wow, out of all the days I would have known had I just took my phone with me, had I turned my, So I went around, and I drove over there, and I said, "Sorry, I thought you were at the front. It took me a little longer because I found this stick on the floor." And I was like, "Do you happen to know whose it is?" She goes, "No, that's so crazy." And I was like, "This is so crazy," because, and I actually told her, I think that this is something from my prayer. And I've emailed with her many times, but I've never seen her in person. I was like, "It's so good to see you in person." And I told her the story. I was like, "I received this stick, and the address here is 1440, and I was praying about a certain thing, and da-da-da-da-da," and she goes, "That is really awesome." And then she probably thought, "Woohoo, that girl's crazy," but I honestly thought she genuinely kind of got it, because the movies she makes are pretty, they're pretty open-minded. So I ended up getting in the car, and I was so excited about this stick that I went to my friend's deli. And the lady that works at this deli, it's a Jewish deli. It was called Cafe Delish. And her symbol on her door, on her logo, was the Hamza. The Hamza is the hand of the mother. It's known as the hand of Miriam, the hand of Fatima, the mother's hand. It's the helping hand, the protection hand. It is the nurturing hand. And so I usually wear this symbol, and I met her when I was selling the Hamza air fresheners, and I went into her door, and I was like, "Do you want to sell these here?" And we became friends. And so I always shared with this woman, Stacy, I always shared with her my spiritual experiences. I shared with her what I was going through, and I was always having revelations and things happen to me. And I really enjoy sharing them, because I feel like it gives me, it connects me more to spirit. It connects me more to my soul essence, and what I can actually manifest if I really, truly keep my mind clear. And that brings me to one of the things that when your mind is not clear and you are powerful, then you have more attachments coming to you, because the greater the power you have, the more responsibility that you have. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And I just got deja vu. Okay, so, deja vu again. Wow. That was very like a double deja vu when I had it thinking about what I was saying and then looking into the camera saying it again. And like it's like I never wear my hair like this really, and it to see myself like that in deja vu was really crazy. Anyway, and so I went into the store and I told her the story of what I did and the prayer and the numbers and everything, and we started looking at the words, okay? So I read the words. It says, "O King, me savage. O King, me savage." And not only does it say, "O King, me savage," but the way the E's are written, I actually have done that before. And I've seen, I knew somebody really close to me back in the day who used to do the E like that. And it's actually code, I believe, when you use, it's like the E's broken up like that. It's very symbolic. I don't really know exactly why, but there's 3, okay? So the 3 lines on the E's. And so in front of King, it says, "O King, me savage." And the reason why I thought that was interesting is something I noticed before, is that in the Old Bible, it does say "O King" more, like in the Old Testament. Like, I think, like, latest is like new, the not new, but King James Bible. And if you find an old, like, a good Bible, it says "O King." And the newer Bibles say "King." And if I'm corrected, I stand correctly, but I noticed that this one says "O King, me savage." And the next word that it says X, the new kings, okay? And why I thought this is so powerful. So a lot of my things that I've come up with the stick have actually developed over time, and I have so much more to the story. There's so much more with the stick. And so over time, I realized, or when I first read it, that it says the new kings, I thought, oh my God, I'm a king of diamonds. So in the original tarot, it is the bicycle cards that we play poker with, that we play cards at the casino. That is the truest calendar in tarot that can never be changed. It is perfect tarot, basically. Like, if you really were to put it out, you see the 52 weeks, you would see the 4 seasons, the 4 suits represent different things, right? And so we have the moon cycles, the 13 suits, and so that is the original tarot, and that actually was banned a long time ago, and everything that was good for us, they kind of switched it around so we couldn't do it for ourselves, and but they've been using witches to predict things and all kinds of stuff for centuries. So the new kings, I thought, I'm a king of diamonds, and the funny thing is that when I first found out I was a king of diamonds, I was not happy, actually. I was like, I want to be the Queen of Hearts. Like, that was the one I wanted. I wanted to be the Queen of Hearts. And, but when I actually read the King of Diamonds card and what it means, I really resonated, and I understood why I was given that card. I mean, my birth number and name, everything is 8. I have the long second toe. I was just like, okay, so I have a king mentality. And I started looking up kings, like what it really means to be a true king. Not a king of tyranny, or tyranny, whatever you say. Tyranny, I think it is. And so that's what I was like really thinking, like how upset I was that I was actually a king, but then I ended up to realize that the king always has mastery over the suit, but the King of Diamonds has mastery over the material realm. It has mastery over manifesting your physical needs, as in monetary. And when you have your values in order, you create the monetary values, you create the money that you need. And so because I'm a King of Diamonds, it has major spiritual abilities. And so, and it also has, like, I have the ability to rule over my suit. And so everyone around me were diamonds. And my brother's a King of Diamonds too. And so I thought, oh my God, the new kings, it doesn't have to be, we are rising up right now. Like, our ancient being, our archetype from, who the roles we play are coming to the surface. And the more you open up, the more awake you become, the more you become cleansed and purified and become, fully integrated into yourself and awake, the more you do become an archetype. And so I felt like the kings, like if I'm not a representation of the king, I believe I'm supposed to influence the men that are rising up right now, because I have so much inside me to share that has to do with healing the divine masculine and the feminine together. And I feel like that's really been, I keep saying, it's been spoiled in some ways. Like what the female can do for the male, what the male can do for the female has been poisoned by the mainstream media and by the music industry and the movie industry. It's just they create more of a ripple between the male and female. And yes, the female does do things that are that can make the male species really angry and untrusting of them. But it's only because we're in a spell and we're under hypnosis and such a deep trance that we are unable to fully grasp what's going on. And so, going back to the kings, I believe I'm meant to influence the kings that are going to be rising, that will come, and that they will have the characteristics of a true king, a true teacher, a true leader. Excuse me. And so, and then the next thing that it says, we were never slaves. We were never slaves. And I thought, okay, so I thought about, the Jews, so they call, which are not even the real Jews that are there today. These are the true Israelites. They went through Egypt, and they moved out of Egypt, and although they were slaves, they were actually not slaves, because I believe the 144,000 were offered as first fruits. The first fruits, and I'm thinking they come back at free will to help, to be a part of it. And so they get caught up in the third dimension in the physical world, because this is kind of Satan's kingdom, and it's the playground of demons. So if you don't remember who you are, you get sidetracked by the entities that come on you and feed off of you. And so that's why I think that we were never slaves came in. And so I did get a reading on the stick before and shared some information with one of my deep medical intuitive doctor friends who is extremely understanding of the Sophia code and Sophia energy, the earth energy, and Christ consciousness, and so many other things that I asked her about the stick too. And she did tell me that O King Me Savage was, so O King Me Savage. O King Me Savage. So in these times, our higher mind will rule over the lower realms, will rule over the lower realms. So when you're a good king, it will rule over your savageness, and which is the savageness is what Satan's kingdom keeps us locked in those lower realms, because those entities are feeding on our sexual creative energies. They're feeding on our fear and all that stuff. So that's all lower, and we have to learn to master that. And so we can still be in this, but master it through the higher spirit. That's what we got out of the stick. And so carrying on, after I left her office, after I left Stacy's restaurant, Cafe Delish, after I left there, I went to the office and I was like just sitting in my seat staring at the stick. And I decided, I'm like, what else can I notice about this stick that has to do with what I'm doing? And I thought, oh my gosh. So this day, I was doing a 7-day chakra cleanse, and I was focusing on one chakra per day. And this day, I was focusing on my throat chakra. My throat chakra, when you're focusing on that, you're supposed to try to eat things that are blue. There's not a lot of blue things, so I had to focus on blue. I had to wear blue. I focused on the color blue. So the throat chakra was the color blue. And so I noticed that the stick had the blue on it. And it also is if you consider it a talking stick, it's the ability to speak for multitudes. And actually, it's when you speak, people are to remain silent to listen to the words, because that is a great sage or teacher speaking. And even when you're in ceremony, we pass the stick around and we offer that person our undivided attention. And that's why I felt that was really sacred and really beautiful to receive that. And so I'm sitting there and I decide to, if I said, oh my God, there is these rings on here. The bottoms look like feathers, which I would say probably because of bird tribe. And so I decided to count the beads, the things on here, these little long things. And I thought to myself, if there's 12, I'm going to flip, okay? I'm going to flip out. So I counted. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so if you can see, there's 10 beads here, or 10 here, and there is 2 here. Now, the reason why I think that means something, why? There's so many things. When I look at this stick, I feel like, did I make this stick? It looked like my writing. I'm like, did I do that? I'm like, this is my stick. And I was like, I don't know, like, I feel like it's my stick because the writing looks like mine. And then I thought, first of all, 10 and 2. My birthday is 2. Okay, that's the day I'm born. It's 2, the second day of the month. Okay? The 10, I noticed the X here. And I thought to myself, the 10 Commandments. And when I went and saw Dr. Sarah, who was a medical intuitive, a couple days later, or a few days later, I'm not sure how long it was, she pointed out that X marks the spot. You prayed and you were given a sign. And I noticed that 10 plus 2 equals 12. And so now I think that what it was trying to tell me is to pay attention, that it wasn't just 12. It was 10 and 2 to put together. So that would make the 12 more significant for me. And then I also love the color black. And everyone associates that with like being dark and all this stuff. But for some reason, I really resonate with it. And I'm not sure it's because if I couldn't afford when I was younger to always buy extra shoes to match all my lighter clothes. And I just think I like black. But I really do, as you can see, I'm wearing a black shirt. And so after doing that, I decided to count the individual beads on here. And to my surprise, I was like blown away because it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads on top and 3 on the bottom, which equals 8. So 5 and 3 is 8. Okay, so 8 is my birth year. 8 is the number of my life path, and 8 is the number of my destiny path. When you add up the numbers of my birthday and which is 7288, it's 8. And also the pounds and ounces and the time I was born is 7288 equals 8, all identical numbers. So I was like, whoa, there's 8 on here. So not only is it 8 and 3 and 5 also separated to really make me think about that. On my human design chart, I'm also what is known as a manifester. It's a very small population, percentage of the population who are actually manifestors, who can manifest completely like that instantly. And so from my thoughts and believing that I can have it. And so the manifester, the cross that I'm on my chart is the cross of tension, which is the 3-5. So that also made me resonate. I have to plug my computer in for just a second. So with that being said, these are all things I started putting together to just kind of like justify, not really justify, it's just the fact that if you look here, there's plenty of space for me to have added those other beads, but yet they're here. And I say me because I feel like this is mine from a different dimension or something. I just the words on it, like after praying, like, it just makes me want to cry because like, and this has been a year and a half already, more than a year since this happened, like 2 years. And so every time I talk about it, it just makes me want to cry because it's just so amazing. And so, so after that, I left, I went home, and then like I just kind of fascinated by it, and I started holding it. I got home, like I couldn't wait to get home and just sit with it, I want to just meditate with it, maybe smoke a bowl, so like I just sat with it, and I held it, and I turned on, I heard the noise, and I started shaking it. And the noise did something so beautiful to my ears. It was so like, and so I held it, and then I did some research on talking sticks. And turns out that when you have a talking stick, when it's made for you, it is made to fit between your fingertips and the inside of your in your forearm here. And of course, it fit me perfectly. By the way, my name Alanna means a female tree. Alanna in Hebrew is female, is a female tree. And I also have this tattoo that I got when I was 18, before I even started this journey of what I was going to be getting into, which is the tree of life, which is as above, so below, the sun, the four corners of the earth, and the elements basically coming together in a way. And it also means a tree, because I believe Mother Earth, or the tree of life, and humans in general are connected like trees with their roots, but they're not connected the way we are. This also means a small, powerful woman. So I made this part and added to it because I felt deeply connected to this symbol, and I love trees. And so this is made out of tree, and when I looked at the bark, I pulled a piece of it off. As you can see, it's extremely old wood. I don't know what kind of tree it is, but I would guess that it might be, I love willow trees. And actually, like, I have such a connection to trees and plants in general that I can't even fully express how close I feel to them. And so I just felt it and I held it, and the way it fits, it's just perfect. Like, it's just meant for me to hold. Anyway, and so after that, you know, I went home. Like, after I was done doing what I did, I went to sleep, and then the next day, I went to work, and then I called one of my friends, and she's like, "Hey, you want to go to the store with me?" And I was like, "Sure, I want to show you this stick and tell you the story," because she also knows that I have experiences, and I like to talk about them. So I get over there, and I pick her up, and then she said that she wanted to get a juice. So we drove over to Burbank to go get a juice, and we were actually going to eat somewhere else or go to the market to Sprouts, and we decided to go get a juice. And when we got there, the juice store that we go to was closed, and we were like so bummed, but we decided, I was like, oh my god, like, there's a bookstore, let's go to this bookstore. So we walk over there, and like I asked the guy, I asked him, please can you tell me where your spiritual books are, you know, your books on, and he's like, yes, they're right over there. It's like a big pile of books all over the place. Like, it was like stacked up, and like they were just kind of like older books, and they were all over the place. And so me and her were looking for the book. We're just looking through books, and then she goes, "Oh, look, Alanna, a new Earth is coming." And I was like, she's like, "That's something you would read." And I was like, "Oh my god, that is something I would read." So I grabbed it, and it had the Star of David on it, and it said, "A new Earth is coming." And as I opened it, the first page I opened to, which is like in the middle, it said 144,000 in the Jews. I literally about died. Like, I had a witness, because everything that I've done had a witness. Everything that I've experienced, I always have a witness. And the witness, number 2 is the witness. And that's a blessing given to you by God, I believe, because when you would have a witness for something, and they have your back, and they can say, yes, I saw that happen, like, it's like, I'm not crazy, you know, it's like really happening. And so she saw me, like, I literally was like, oh my god. And so after that, like, I closed it, and I just bought the book. It's like, actually, it was like a little ripped, and he gave it to me for like $1, you know. So I walked across the street. We had a salad right there. Then I went to the market, and then she wanted to go to the bank. And as she went to the bank, I opened the book, and I started reading, and it was so profound what I was reading. Like, it was kind of still based on biblical stuff, and so it was a little bit, you're gonna do this and da da da. It was kind of like not so open-minded, but you could tell that they did a lot of research. And so I kept it, and like, I literally cried while I was in the car, because I couldn't believe that stuff in the book was about the 144,000 and the 12,000, and like, it was just so amazing, because it really prompted me to do further research on the characteristics of these 144,000. Now, I have a notebook that I will do in my next video that will discuss all the characteristics and how I broke them down and done research on each person, on each characteristic, and each connotations from other people that have talked about it, coming from religious and spiritual viewpoints. And so what I do know is that the 144,000 will have the Father's name written in the forehead, and that in the beginning of time we came from these tribes, and so they were dispersed all over, and not just in the people in Israel right now. Actually, as a matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned and that I know of, this is a big statement, but a lot of them are not real Jews. The word Jew in general, they were not considered Jews. The word Jew came much later, and so I just have to look at the way words are distorted, just like magic. These words have been distorted, so that way we are taught to reject them. We never will want to stop and look and think, am I chosen one? Unless you're doing religious work, and even religious work gets you stuck in dogma. And so when you look at it, the people that are the 144,000 will rise up from all corners of the earth. It might be more than 144,000, but they're going to be a certain number who will be called, because they will be able to hear the voice. They will be able to see with their senses completely, and the veil will be lifted for them so they can see, and they will be, they are basically ripened. They're ready. The seed that was sown is now ripened. And so that's why I believe I'm one of the 144,000, not just from this, but from many other signs that I've been given. And I can't wait to do my next video to discuss and to bring my notebooks and really read what I have done so far discussing this topic. And so if I can end it with anything else, I will say that, I should do another part of the story really fast. So after having some time with this, I did a ayahuasca ceremony, and I had experience with the stick after praying and asking Mama Aya if this is, in fact, was it a gift for me? I wanted to know more about it, and during ceremony I realized that I had so much power that I had literally, I was like basically attacked. I was being spiritually attacked a lot, through my younger years, and I let a lot of dark attachments come on me because I thought that I was helping by being forgiving or being understanding of things, and so I realized in there, and so I had a moment with the stick where I used it to heal myself in some ways. It's really funny. The story is really funny. The people that were there will forever be touched by that moment. So, but I also was invited to speak with Universal Consciousness 1111 to discuss the synchronicity of this stick, because I was proving that synchronicity is real, because 1111 is a synchronicity for many of us. And 1111 was one of my my activation codes that got me really setting and going in this direction. And so speaking at this event about this stick, telling about the number 144,000, as I'm driving there, I realized that the address was 1440 Topanga Canyon Boulevard. And so Topanga Canyon. So everyone who knows Topanga knows the 144 is the address for the recreational area out there. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I ended my story there asking the crowd to tell me what the address was of the location, and when I told them, they literally were just like astounded, because I proved yet again the synchronicity involved here. The address, both where I picked it up, was 144. I also had another time when I woke up in the morning and my brother's friend left a note that she was leaving and taking the car to get Starbucks, or walk to get Starbucks, and she wrote the time 11:44. And so I know there's so many things that you could say that it's just a coincidence. However, it's not a coincidence for me, and no one can ever convince me otherwise, because I know my power. I know that there's divinity happening here, and that this is definitely special. And so I'm going to end this video, and I want to say thank you for watching. I know I talk really fast. I know all the flaws that you could possibly think of, because I have said them all to myself, and have just decided that I can't be perfect all the time, and that it's not my job to judge anybody, or it's not your job to judge me either. So just take it in and release what doesn't serve you. And if you feel like it resonates with you, please leave your comments, share your insight. If you have experiences like this, I would love to hear why you think you're part of the 144,000. And all right, thank you. I just ended at 444 before I said that. Okay.